system, only differences will be having the current will be passed from the battery. In a magneto, the magnetic, because of the rotation of the magnets, current will get passed from the magnets to the distributor and distributor to the each engine. So why we need an ignition system? What is the purpose of ignition system? Because ignition means it is the main purpose of the system is to ignite the ignite means we will say it as a flash, that is also ignite only. If you are igniting the gas stove, it burns, it started burning. Okay, because of the spark from the what to say, uh, the the, because of the spark only the gas stove gas is burned. So same process only inside the engine. We all know air and fuel get mixed in the combustion chamber or the engine casing. When required temperature is produced or raised, uh, we need to ignite the fuel and the air get mixed in the combustion chamber. And also when the required temperature is reached, what we need to do is we need to ignite that so that it gets burned and the combustion process begins. So main thing is for combustion, in order to start the combustion process, we need some ignition system to ignite the or to start the combustion. So in bike and all, we all know that there will be a spark plug. Okay, so here also for spark for giving enough power to the spark, we need some system. That system is called ignition system. So we have two types of ignition systems in this for our aircraft and all. One is the battery ignition system, another one is the magneto ignition system. So in our practical classes and all, in our we have our aircrafts, our own aircraft in our college. So I will explain you when we have when we get some chance. Okay, so now we can see from describe this from our diagram itself. So the parts are for battery ignition system is, one is battery, then second one is ignition coil, third one is condenser and the distributor and the cam, then breaker contact points and the mechanical linkages, then cylinder and piston. Okay, so these are the parts which we have for battery ignition system. So main process is to pass the current battery to from battery to the distributor unit, and from the distributor unit to this spark plug. This is the main function of this battery ignition system. Here we have, this is the spark plug SP. I am mentioning it as SP. So this is the combustion chamber or the cylinder casing, and here we have the piston. This is the piston. Okay, so piston here, so I am mentioning it as PI, piston, and here is the cylinder, so I am mentioning it as C. So C is for cylinder, PI for piston, and SP is for spark plug. Okay, so we need to produce, our main thing is to produce spark inside this. So spark should be produced like this, and it should be produced in periodically in some milliseconds itself. The spark will be produced for each milliseconds combustion will happen. Okay, so so for that we need this kind of system. Okay, so there will be ignition switch. The ignition switch will act as a starter, or it acts as a starter switch. This switch is used to turn on or off the ignition system. The battery is connected to the primary winding of the ignition coil by the ignition switch and ballast resistor. So we have two types of windings here. One is the primary winding and second one is the secondary winding. Primary winding have the number of turns are we have some number of turns for this primary winding, and we have some more like 1000 turns for this secondary winding. And the current flowing through the primary winding gets stepped up by the step up transformer because of the secondary winding in the transformer, and that current is passed to the distributor, and after the distributor it will pass the current to each cylinders, because we all know in our hangar itself we have one engine. It has the radial engine which have 4 cylinder casings. So yeah, the main duty of the distributor is to pass the current to the each cylinders, because if you are having 4 cylinder means the current must be passed to the 4 cylinders, not to one cylinder. That's why we call that part as a distributor. Okay. So here we have the ignition switch, then we have the battery. So it will produce some 6 volt current from the is passed to the primary winding. There are two types of batteries we are using. One is a lead acid battery and another one is the alkaline battery. Okay, one is the lead acid battery and another one is the alkaline battery. Then we have the ignition coil. So the purpose of the ignition coil is to step up the battery voltage to a high voltage, which is sufficient to produce a spark in the spark plug. Okay. Then we have contact breaker points and also ballast resistors. This contact breaker point, if the breaker point contact is open means there will be a passage of flow of current. If it is closed means there won't be any passage of current, because the current will be passed only to the primary winding. If it is open means there will be a collapse of current, so that the current from the primary winding will get passed to the secondary winding, so that the ignition system get on, and the current will be passed to the distributor and distributor to the spark plug. Okay. So there are two types of distributors also. One is the carbon brush type and another one is gap type. Okay. So one is carbon brush type and another one is gap type. Okay. So next we have a capacitor that will store the current inside current, and we have a spark plug. This spark plug is main thing for generating sparks in the combustion chamber. Okay. So now I will explain the working principle for this battery ignition system. The same thing is on for magneto ignition system also, but only thing is here we use a battery for passing that means a DC current is passed, but in magneto we will be passed the current used is AC current. That's a main difference. So okay, so here we have a battery. When the ignition switch is on, the current flows from the battery through the primary winding. So that is the ignition coil. Okay. So it will pass to the primary winding and the ballast resistor, and also to the contact breaker. The current flowing induces a magnetic field which is directly proportional to it. As the contact breaker opens, if the contact breaker is open, the current get passed to the primary to the secondary, which results in a high voltage, because secondary winding we have the number of turns are more, and due to that we will be getting higher voltage when it is passed to the secondary winding. Then the distributor, it consists of a rotor that rotates inside the distributor cap, and opens the contact breaker point. This causes the high tension current to flow to the spark plug. Okay. The spark plug, already I told, after the distributor, see here there are 4 distributor points. From this 4 distributor points, the current will be passed to the 4 engines, engine casings, not engines, engine casings, or to the 4 combustion chamber, and in each combustion chamber we will be having having one spark plug, and the spark plug generates current and the combustion starts. So the main advantage of battery ignition system is the maintenance is less, because the moving parts are absent. There is no moving parts. The contact breaker points are absent, so there is no arcing. The spark plug gives life in the battery ignition system increases by 50%, and they can also be used for 6,000 km without any problem. So the spark plug for battery ignition system is, the life is very good compared to other. The battery ignition system has more output and also more fuel efficiency, which lasts for longer. So it also has some disadvantages. I can list out the disadvantages. The arcing in the battery ignition system, the pitting of the contact breaker point will lead to many problems in the working of the system. and after a few starting in the system and also running a few thousand kilometers, the timing becomes inaccurate, which results in poor starting.